And you know, we always get weak for the villain. Why? Why do we get weak for the villain? I don't know. But you know what they always say? Why do good girls love bad guys? Hi, and welcome back to my channel. You're in for a treat today. I'm going to tell you about some of the best dark interracial romances that I have read to date. This is not all, okay? It's not all, because I did have a dark romance era. I did go through a phase where I was just grabbing book after book after book, and they all were dark romances. Some of these names you are already going to know, you are already going to be familiar with if you have been with me for a while. If it's your first time here, welcome. We talk a lot about interracial romances here. Why? Because I love them, and there aren't enough people talking about interracial romances. So there's me. If you are new to interracial romances can go anywhere. It's literally people from different races that come together in a relationship. Some people don't like it. Some people feel like, you know what, no, we don't need black women being with white men or black women being with Asian men. Like, excuse me, we can be with whoever we want to be with, okay? Some people are like, you know what, I'm just going to read black romances. That's fine. That's fine. Read what you want and read what you like. Read what you enjoy. Let's dive into some of these romances that I absolutely love, that I absolutely enjoyed, and I hope that you would enjoy them too. If you are a fan of interracial romance, comment down below. Comment down below. Let's start with Kenya Wright. Let's start with her. So I have two books, or I should say a duet and a series by Kenya Wright. She is a go-to author for me. I feel like all of these authors, they are auto-click authors for me. Right? Auto-click. Let's start off with the Butcher and the Violinist duet, because Rhapsody and Sonata had me in a bubble. It had my eyes glued to my screen, right? I was face to face with my Kindle all night. We were in deep conversation because the Butcher can actually rival Casimir. If you want a dark romance that eases you into things, this is perfect. If you want something with a lot of action and adventure and twist, this is it. If you want something that is so messy and so chaotic, unexpectedly chaotic, this is it, because I love it. I loved it. And many people were recommending this book to me, and I'm like, I'll get to it. When I got to it, I was blown away. Now, this book, it took me by surprise, because I thought like The Lion and the Mouse was it, but I was wrong, because this duet is connected to the Lion and Mouse series. In this book, we meet Eden, and she is a violinist. She's in the arts. She's cute, she's innocent, she doesn't know anything about the Mafia, much less the French Mafia. And Jean-Pierre, he goes to the US because he has business to handle. He comes upon Eden and he falls in lust with her. He becomes obsessed. When I tell you obsessed, I mean this guy was obsessed with Eden. He starts to follow her, he puts men on her, he sends gifts to her, And then when the time is right, he goes in and he snatches her. Now, she has no idea that this man has been obsessed with her, stalking her, or wants anything to do with her. So now he has to charm his way into her heart, which he did, right? He takes her to France, happens to get his hands on Emily, and that is where we have total chaos happening in France, because you have the Russian trying to bomb up Jean-Pierre, or Jean-Pierre, because it's French. I'm not French, I don't speak French, so I'm probably pronouncing that all wrong. But Jean-Pierre, right? He's fighting back because now he has someone special. And guess who ends up with Eden? That's right, Casimir ends up with Eden. While they had this whole fiasco, while they had a whole lot of messiness, complications, twists and turns in France. Listen, if you have read the Lion and Mouse series, go read The Butcher and the Violinist, please. Go get your hands on this duet, because Eden, she is nothing like Emily. She is innocent and she is sweet and she's cute, and to some point naive because she has no idea what's going on, but that just added to the story. Eden girl, come on man, catch up. But she has no idea what's going on. And believe it or not, we know our boy Casimir, like, he had no qualms about doing whatever he needed to do to get back his Emily. The plot in this book is everything. It is brilliant when it comes to writing a mafia and writing interconnected stories. Kenya Wright, she is a queen. She is a boss. There are a lot more things happening with Eden. Our girl, she needed money, and so she was a blind violinist. Okay, she went to a brothel to play her violin. Okay, this was a gig that her aunt set up. Unbeknownst to the aunt, Jean-Pierre spotted her and wanted her and tailed her. Listen, JP, he's a boss. We need to pause and show some respect, okay? Show some respect to this series. Do you see this saga? Okay, the Lion and Mouse saga. It is an entire world that started back in 2018. Look at how many years, almost 7 years. And the story keeps getting better and better. It is layered with plots. This is a multi-layered subplot series. There are so many characters that I have been so invested in. I can't see them go. Like, I am emotionally attached to some of these characters. Let's take a look at this world that Kenya Wright has created. Yes, we know there are several books in the Lion and the Mouse series, and I could probably do an entire video just dedicated to this saga, to this series alone. But this is just one of my recommendations, and the recommendation is the entire Lion and the Mouse series. When I started the series, I started with Dirty Kisses, but Kenya Wright, she has done an entire map letting us know the order in which we should read the series. And as you can see, Rhapsody is the first book, and this is a duet that I previously spoke about. I read them back to back. And I think you could read it back to back. But I guess for your reading enjoyment, if you are new to the series, read the book as outlined by the author, and don't do like me. I read the Lion and Mouse series back to back, right? So I went from Dirty Kisses to Dirty Love to Dirty Hearts to Dirty Desires to Dirty Minds. So I read it in that order. I did not read the books that were in between. So let me tell you a bit about the Lion and the Mouse series. In this book, we meet the infamous Casimir and Emily. Casimir, he's the head of the Russian mafia. He goes to the US because someone has unalived his money washer. Okay? His washer is butchered. And he needs one, to find out who did that, and two, to replace them. Evidence leads to Emily. He enrolls Emily to help him solve the mystery, which she does, but he uncovers someone that is so complex, someone that is so unusual because one, she's a Black artist. Two, she kind of unalives people. Three, she understands the workings of the different crime groups in New York City. She's just that girl. And because of that, because of her personality, because of her feistiness, because of her ability to stand up to the lion, he gives her the name Mouse. And we see them go on a journey all throughout the world. He sees that there's so much more to Emily than he ever thought. And then they end up in in Russia, in France, in Italy, back to Russia. And I think right now we're in New Orleans. So this guy basically, he is warring with so much crime organizations, international crime organization. So it's not like, oh, it's just between him and the butcher. No, it's people in Italy. It's African crime organizations. Now he's back in the US. And he has mercenaries and stuff like that after him. This book dives into the complexities of Emily's mind as well, and having like trust issues. And then we have more things coming out of it. All the side characters are absolutely amazing. I enjoyed all the side characters that were introduced into this series. So if you're looking for a mafia romance that is just going to keep on given, that is not going to have you bored, that is going to be filled with so much action, you might just want to take out some popcorn to eat, because it is so filled with suspense and drama and so many twists and so many turns and so messy. Let's not forget Casimir. He's one of those characters that you shouldn't like, you shouldn't love, you should not enjoy their messiness, but you can't help yourself. You cannot help yourself. Now, listen, if you are a fan of Black women and Asian men, this is for you. So if you want that in a dark romance, this one, Toxic by Kenya Goree-Bell. This one was dark, okay? This one was dark. Oh. This one was dark, okay? It was almost too dark for me. I don't know if I'm getting soft, but to me, okay, this is her darkest book. This is book 4 in the Blood Legacy series. Let me give you some tropes that are in this book. So it is a second chance romance. You have mental health representation in this book. You have a lot of secrets. You have first love. You have emotional scars. You have a bit of vengeance inside of this. You have who did this to you. Okay? And on top of all of that, you have betrayal. This goes so much into the complexities of the human psyche. It pushes the boundaries. You're like, well, it is a dark romance, but then it's like you can justify certain things. Okay, so let's go back. Let us rewind. In this book, we meet Tiya and Hisashi. They meet at this like university conference. Tiya, she's from the US and she goes to Asia to study, and she happens to meet Hisashi there. They fell in love, but Hisashi, he hid a lot of things from Tiya. She had no idea that he was dealing with mental health issues. Then something happens and he just goes off, like he falls apart. And the way that he was behaving, she was shocked. She goes back to the US and he is out of her life for 10 years. While they were together, while in university, they got married. So legally, she is his wife. And what did he do? When he came out from an asylum, he went and he kidnapped his wife. And she's able to see the differences in like his personality. When I tell you, there is so much trauma embedded, like really, yeah. When I tell you there is so much trauma wrapped up into this book, do you think he's better by the end of it? No. He learns to deal with it more. She learns to deal with it more. And there's so much family secrets, things that were hidden not just from her, but also from him. To know that you were betrayed by your own family, locked up in an asylum that made your mental health even worse. They knew that their son had a mental illness, and they just shake the boat. They shake the boat, and then eventually it was a Titanic, because everything just went down. Everything just came out. Everything was just messed up. The suspense, it is very provocative as well, and it is one that you should mentally be prepared for. Make sure to read the trigger warnings, because you really dive deep into mental health with this book. But there is a happily ever after. Okay? Do you think I could have done this video without books by Keta Kendric? Of course she was going to be in this video, in this recommendation, because how dare I not include these two books that I absolutely loved. Were they dark? Yeah. Did I enjoy them? Yeah. Am I recommending them to you? Of course, that's why they're here. Let us start with the box. Now, this is from the Smoke and Fire series. This is actually book 3. Can you read it as a standalone? Of course you can. Of course you can. You do not need to read book 1 or book 2 to read this book. If you want to, you can most definitely read them, but I feel like you don't have to, that you can read them all as a standalone. This book, it is given paranormal / supernatural vibes, which I enjoyed. It gave me action, it gave me suspense, it held my attention from beginning to end. It had me questioning what's going on here. Okay, the suspense, the mystery, it was so grabbing, it was so engaging, and I ate it up. And this is actually my favorite book out of the Smoke and Fire series. So in this book, we meet Yala and Kevin, and they are part of TOP. TOP is a top secret operations program. So they basically deal with paranormal stuff, out of the ordinary stuff. They are a special program or department that deals with these things when they occur. And they both get assigned to this case. Kevin hasn't seen a lot of paranormal things, and he's surprised by what he has seen. The story begins where a medical examiner sees part of a human torso in a glass case, but the human torso is still alive. And you're like, what? How is it alive? Someone figured out some scientific breakthrough and they did that. So they're trying to figure out who the killer is, who is trapping people body parts in a glass case, and if they don't do the right thing, the person will eventually die. Now, our girl here, Yala, she's like a shape shifter, and Kevin has no idea. So there's this scene in the book where she leaves the room as a man and then comes back into the room as a woman, and Kevin is like, what? Like, what's going on here? And then he starts to question his sexuality because he's like, he's attracted to the female, but on occasions when needed, she will shift into a male. Like, that was so hilarious. But what grabbed me was the mystery of trying to figure out who was behind the entire box situation. It wasn't until like far in that we sort of got a hint. But you know how sometimes 50% in, you could already figure out the story. That wasn't the case. Like, it was like 85% in or 90% in that everything started to come together, which I enjoyed. To me, this book was not predictable. And then we have the infamous Saffire by Keta Kendric as well. This book, it is dark. It is dark. It is dark. It is dark. I don't know how else again to say this, but there is a lot of childhood trauma in this book. Well, it explains why Saffire is the way that he is. So in this book, we meet Jade. Jade, she runs like a not-for-profit. She's just a good girl. And Saffire, he's an assassin connected to a MC, or the MC is connected to a society of assassin. I can't remember how it goes, but Saffire is sent to take out Jane. Okay, he did his research, he is following Jade, and the research isn't saying anything. Like, what he knows, what's on paper and what he's seeing with his own two eyes, they aren't adding up. And so instead of unaliving her, he decides he's just going to observe some more. And so they sent someone else to take out Jane, and he ends up taking out that person, and he brings Jade to his secret MC location. Everyone is shocked that he's talking to her, that he's engaging with her, because Saffire, he's not that type of person, period. So everyone is shocked. But what shocked me the most was what he went through in order to save Jade. When I tell you the scenes, the violent scenes in this book, it is graphic. And it is written in a way where you can imagine exactly what is happening. It is very explicit, which is something that I like about Keta Kendric. Nothing is sugar-coated and nothing is fluffed over. What you expect is what you get. So Saffire, he went on to figuring out what this whole situation with Jade was all about. His methods of getting information is dark and it is twisted and it is messed up. That's all I'm going to say. Proceed with caution. Let's put these two lovely books, these dark and twisted books, away, and we will get into the next book. This next book, it is one that I recently read, and it is written by Blue Saffire, right? It is Hush Hidden Family. It is book 3 in the Hush series. First of all, I was so excited to read this book because I got a taste of what this couple was like in her previous book, which was his team. I knew I needed to read this book, and I read it, and it was everything that I hoped that it would be. So in this book, we meet Michael and Symphony. We meet Symphony at the age of 14. Her mother was unalived, and so she was being kidnapped to sell to someone. Her grandfather gets news of this and sends in Michael and his brother Yuri. They do get her, but then they realize that there's more happening than what they expect. Michael was the only person to connect with Symphony. She has autism, she's on the spectrum, and because of this, she's not your typical teenager. That being said, Michael is able to connect with her. She doesn't connect with anyone. She has a hard time growing up. She goes back to Italy and she gets married at the age of 14 to Michael, who is about like 5 years older than her. Nothing is consummated, and we see how they both grow up, because Michael, he was training to be an assassin. She also ends up being an assassin, a secret assassin, because she trained and she got her job separate and stuff like that. Her husband never knew that she was an assassin. So you see where both of them just like grew up, figured out themselves first before they actually became a couple. For most of the book, they weren't actually a couple, but you dare not try to take out his wife. You dare not try to lay a finger on his wife. I'll put up a snapshot of what he did to someone who tried to take out his wife while she went to college. Okay? Just read this. Just read this. Yeah. You're done? You're done? Are you done? Because I'm like, Michael, that is what became of this sweet kid Michael. This book, it stems over, I would say, 10 years, because you meet them as they grow up and as they change and as different things happen to them. That is one thing that I liked about this book. This is dark. She was being kidnapped. That to me is a dark element, so that is why it is here. And there's also some dark scenes in it, violent scenes in it, so that is why this is here. But it is not a lot. It's not packed with that amount of dark elements. I have spoken about this book before on my channel many years ago. I spoke about the entire series on my channel. I think I spoke about it maybe in a Mafia video or an all-time favorite video. I'm not too sure, but this book here, Destino by Sienne Mynx, it is one of my favorite interracial dark romance. So in this book we have Gio, and I just believe anytime a mafia boss is named Gio, this book will be good. You don't even have to question whether or not it's going to be good. So we meet Myra. She is a fashion designer, an African-American fashion designer, and she goes to Italy with her friend just to relax, just to chill. This story takes place in 1989. So she's chilling there, and the mafia boss sees her. He's like, oh, who is this person? I like this person. I'm interested in dating this person. She gives in. They go on 1 or 2 dates. She realizes something is just sus. Okay? Something is just not right. Only to find out that she was trying to open up another arm of her business in Italy, and everything was being blocked. And who comes to the rescue? Gio comes to the rescue. The building that she wanted, she got it secured. Whatever she wanted, she got it. And she was like, but someone is pulling strings. Something is just not right. She ends up with this guy only to have her best friend being unalived. She had to run for her life. What else? There was so much happening in this book, but I feel like this book laid an excellent foundation for what was to come in this 10 to 12 book series. This is one of the most unforgettable Mafia romances that I have ever read. It is dark, it is twisted, there are several subplots, there are 2 spin-offs in this entire series, and with each book the series got better and messier. The shenanigans that happen in this book, and if it's one thing you know that I am here for, it is for the shenanigans, it is for the messiness, it is for those complex, chaotic characters. And you know, we always get weak for the villain. Why do we get weak for the villain? I don't know, but you know what they always say, why do good girls love bad guys? That is so true, but in this case it's all fiction, so we're safe. There is so much questionable situations, there is so much sticky situations, if you know what I mean. It just added another layer to the book and to the series. Destino by Sienne Mynx, book 1 in the particularly Mafia series. Go read it. Now this one is a bit different, okay? This one is a bit different. This one is definitely given like sci-fi vibes, and it is Alpha by Tiya, Rayne. Someone many years ago suggested that I read this book, and I did, but I never came back on to tell you guys how much I loved it. This is another interracial romance. So we have Morgan and Alpha. Morgan, she is stuck in a abusive, loveless marriage. She's often made to feel inferior by her parents and also her spouse. And one day she gets kidnapped and taken to a facility where they're doing experiments with humans and alien DNA. So they are trying to use this type of alien DNA to create super soldiers. And now they want them to mate with the humans so that they can have even more control over them. Alpha, he is the leader of this group. Everyone looks to him. Nothing happens without his permission. And then they realize that they get a reaction from Alpha when Morgan is pleased with him. Who told them to do that? Who told them to do that? Because they really saw, okay, they started to see a side of Alpha that they never knew was there. I felt really sad for Morgan's situation when we found out why she ended up in that situation in the first place. I felt really bad for her, but you know what? She came out of an abusive relationship. She got her happily ever after, and the crazy, insane scientist, he got what was coming to him. So I'm not vexed. Everything worked out for the better. So there you have it. These are some of my interracial romance recommendations. These are all dark romances. Most of them are BWWM, but some are AMBW, just like one. If you enjoyed this video, if you want some more recommendations, put it in the comment down below. If you have not subscribed, subscribe to my channel, like this video. Thank you very much. And look out until I post another one.